baby. Woo! I'm so excited. Morning. Good morning to Alan Murugan this morning. I see you the first to say morning. All right. We had a bit of a hectic week last week. I'm sure you guys heard about that breakage in the cable and the whole country suffering with bad internet connections. Yeah, that was a tough one, right? Well, good morning, happy Monday. Yeah, you're live with us on Attenborough TV. Yeah, this is the Crack of Dawn show with myself, Kimera, Heeralal, as your host. And if you want to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details that you'll find at the bottom right of the screen, or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat and join us. Now, today's show, it's going to be epic, all right? Very good morning to Ramashni Padachi this morning, coming in on YouTube. Good morning, honey. Good morning, everybody. I missed you guys. I missed you all. Thank you all for joining the show again this morning. Thanks for not losing us. Okay, thanks for not leaving me. All right, so we've got a jam-packed show as usual. Today we're going to be talking about different types of artifacts and ancient artifacts that you're not supposed to touch. And there are reasons behind this. When you go to a museum and you see that big sign there that says "Do not touch," I think you should listen. And if you join the show today and you listen to what there's reasons behind why you shouldn't touch certain things, I think you'd actually stop touching and being forward. Yeah. So we got a jam-packed show for you. As we're going to open up the show, we're going to have Wackhead Simpson's prank as we always do every single weekday and every single morning. But before we do, don't go anywhere. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
Look at slide 4.
Becky, don't lose your cool. Think of the quarter pounder. It will taste like sunshine on a rainy day. Oh, so make it a day, the quarter pound away. Da 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 da.
Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are live with us on Attenborough TV. This is the Crack of Dawn show with myself, Kimera, Heeralal, as your host. And if you want to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details at the bottom right of your screen, or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat. Now, if anybody out there is celebrating a birthday today, a very, very happy birthday to you. May you see many, many more. It is the festive season, baby. It's December. Okay. It's the 5th of December. What were you doing last year this time? Do you remember? Testing your memory there. All right. So before we continue with the jam-packed show about ancient artifacts that you should never touch, let's take a quick listen to one of my personal favorite radio presenters, Wackhead Simpson's prank, coming up next with Senseless Survey.
Here is this morning's Senseless Survey.
Good morning, Producer. Speaking, may I assist you?
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Agent 31962. I'm calling you from the Census Bureau. I just need about 30 seconds of your time to ask you a couple questions for your country.
No problem.
Is it true that if God didn't want us to pick our noses, he wouldn't have made our nostrils finger size?
I don't know.
If you were approached by an alien and they said, "Take me to your leader," who would you take him to?
Sure. Lord. Obviously, I'd have to take them to God, but I don't know where God is.
Is it your suspicion that people who sit in their car and eat their lunch will someday kill?
No, they're not murderers.
Why is it okay to announce at work that you're having a baby, but not okay to announce that you and your husband are having lots of sex every single night?
Because sex is private. You don't announce that at work.
Do you keep wet wipes in your purse instead of condoms because you run into bribs more often than sex?
What? No. To remove makeup.
Should gravestones rather have the person's age engraved on it, because most people don't want to walk around doing grave maths?
Oh, it's fine as it is. I wouldn't change it.
Is the only thing more shocking than finding water on planet Mars is finding you in a Planet Fitness?
Yeah, you wouldn't find me in Planet Fitness.
Can you agree that no species got screwed worse than the male ladybug.
I agree.
Were you happy that Easter Monday was on a Monday this year?
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered how strong gorillas would be if they started doing CrossFit? Can you imagine?
No, they're really strong, so I don't think it would change anything.
Do you know that you should never ask your new husband to honor the sex coupons your ex-boyfriend gave you?
I know that.
Do you remember you'd buy that coupon pack at Cardi's? And you'd give it out at Valentine's Day. Do you remember that?
Was there like a literal thing?
It was a thing, man. It was a thing.
Oh, I thought it was like a cute thing that couples
You did yourself?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
it was like a checkbook / post-it note.
A sex book.
It wasn't all just about that. It was like, 1 cup of coffee, please. And then you'd cash in. It was like a free pass
Okay.
to all sorts of chores and love stuff.
I love stuff. Got you. Okay.
That'd be like a nice couple's New Year's gift. You know what I mean? You give each other a coupon book for the year.
Yeah,
You
and-
get the
and-
whole year to redeem it.
Yeah, and there were no questions asked.
Yeah.
You had your coupons, she had her coupons, and when you want to cash it in, you cash it in.
I like that.
It's go time now. Here's my coupon. I got one a year.
Is Cardi still a thing?
I don't know.
Bring
I
it
haven't-
back just for the coupons.
Where do we buy cards now? Cardies must be a thing. Do we not have
Do we
cardies
still
anymore?
have Cardis?
I know you can get cards at P&A. But remember cardies, the selection.
Yes.
Nah, there must be a cardies. I'm sure I've seen a cardies at Tiger Valley.
And at Canal Walk.
And they were famous for calendars as well.
Yes,
You know,
of a
but-
dachshund. and an Alsatian. There were only dog calendars.
But you could get one specifically a Dachshund, 12 months
Of Dachshunds.
Dachshund.
Wackhead Simpson, everybody, all the way from KFM. Well, he left 94.7 to go to KFM, and then he came back, and then, oh my God, but he's always been my favorite radio presenter. Wackhead Simpson, everybody, with Senseless Silver. He's been doing this since 2009, so I think this is crazy. That was an epic one. That was funny. Thank you so much for making my Monday morning, Wackhead. Thank you. All right, guys, well, stay tuned as we're gonna be talking about ancient artifacts that you should never touch. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna come back straight after this. Tech Solutions, your cyber security and IT solutions. You gotta check them out. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are live with us on Attenville TV. This is the Crack It Down Show with myself, Kimera, Heeralal, as your host. And if you want to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details at the bottom right of your screen, or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat and interact with us. So today we're talking about top 5 ancient artifacts that you should never ever touch. All right. Have you ever been, if you haven't watched the show earlier, you missed this part. Have you ever been to a museum where you saw a sign that says, do not touch, but for some strange reason, your forward little fingers just had to touch? All right. Now, every museum has that encountered warnings where, especially when it comes to like touching artifacts. But you have never ever just wondered how damaging that contact could actually be. All right. So I think we should all agree that leaping a barrier and picking up a vase is a definite bad idea, right? But what about resting your hand on a chair or poking a polar bear specimen, right? Now, the truth is that even the lightest touch can also cause a bit of harm. Now, last week, I got a few people who took a break. As you know, we took a break. And we took a break from from dry ice cleaning to work on the Virginia gun. And there was a lot of people who came up with the shell gun, which sits at the entrance of Ironclad Revolution exhibit. Now, it was recovered along with the USS Merrimack by the Confederates and was used to aboard a renamed CSS Virginia during the Battle of Hampton Roads. Now, looking at the different types of artifacts that we're going to talk about this morning, before we go there, let's take a look at one of my co-hosts who's decided to become a resident host on Attenville TV on the Cracker Dawn show. Let's take a look at Carl McWatters, and he has found his top 5 ancient artifacts that you should never ever touch. And let's take a look at what he has to say and show us.
Number 5, the Anguished Man painting. Yeah, at first I thought this whole thing was a hoax, but checks off all the right boxes, doesn't it? Artist is an unknown painter, there's real blood mixed in with the paint. The artist then took their own life after they finished the painting. Sounds a bit made up. Well, the original owner, Sean Robinson, claims that his grandmother was the one who actually inherited this painting and gave it to him, saying that there was real blood mixed into this. Okay. His grandmother had claimed that the picture had always seemed to be attached to evil, and even saw a dark figure resembling a man always standing around the painting. After having strange things happen around Sean's house, he too said that he started seeing a shadowy figure, almost like a man now, standing at the bottom of his bed night after night. Sean decided to reach out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators from Connecticut. He tried keeping the painting around at one point, even tried to sell it online, but for some reason it never sold. Sean said the painting became too dangerous and things were getting worse around the house, and decided to give the Warrens the painting for safekeepings. Good idea, Sean. They have the painting locked away in their basement at their home, aka the occult museum for everything haunted. The painting is kept out of sight and no one is allowed to even look at it in person, for it draws evil energy, right? What do you think? I mean, the more I look at this thing, the more it scares the hell out of me. It is jarring. Number 4, Devil's Rocking Chair. I love a good rocking chair. Something soothing about it, you know? All the motion. Very relaxing. Rocking chairs. Rocking on their own, however. No, I don't do that at all. And this one is supposed to be you-know-whose personal chair. The Devil's Rocking Chair, which was bought for $67,000 from Ed and Lorraine Warren's site, is in the care of one Zach Baggins. This guy runs a haunted museum in Vegas and purchased the chair understanding fully what it does and is. The chair, originally used in the exorcism of David Glatzel in the 80s by the Warrens themselves, a true case involving murder and demonic possession. A true case. Some have seen a beast sitting in the chair, some have seen a dark, shadowy man. And the horrifying part, Baggins had to shut down his exhibit in 2019 because the chair was causing guests to have emotional breakdowns and episodes. One guest even passed out walking directly above the chair on the staircase. Slowly started to become a safety hazard, and Zach decided to remove the newest haunted item from his exhibit completely. Before Zach put the rocking chair in his exhibit, he said the only day it was in his home, him and a friend both had a very strange breakdown. Both of them crying uncontrollably and even speaking religious sayings obsessively. Number 3, Thomas Busby Chair. I thought it would definitely be more like skulls and dolls and stuff, but it seems so far that it's pretty much only furniture holds evil spirits. How about that? Another chair. Haunted, of course, and this tale is a chilling one. Not like the others aren't. The Thomas Busby Stoop Chair, or also famously known as Dead Man's Chair, is said to be a cursed object from the owner himself, Mr. Busby. This hardwood, allegedly haunted oak chair was cursed by the murderer Thomas Busby before his execution hanging in 1702 in North Yorkshire, England. Thomas Busby was arrested, tried, and condemned to death after he murdered his father-in-law, Daniel Audie, in 1702. Audie and Busby were running a coin counterfeiting business. After an argument about the business, Busby killed Audie. One variation of the story has Busby cursing the chair while on his way to the execution, whereas another says he was drunk in the chair that he was arrested in and cursed it right then and there. Due to the many deaths later attributed to people sitting in the chair, the landlord donated it to the Thirsk Museum in the same town where it is having difficulty with guests sitting on top of it. It now stays hung above the floor near the ceiling where no one can even sit on it. That's good. Numerous deaths have been linked to this chair, from soldiers not returning home from war, to delivery drivers crashing their trucks hours later, to people even having strokes and heart attacks sitting in it. Death seems to be imminent anywhere this thing goes. It's been hung up since 2014 and remains there today. Number 2, the cursed mirror. Originally sitting in the main foyer in its 17th century antebellum home in Louisiana, this haunted object has been witness to some nasty history. The Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana is the home to deep-rooted slavery. The American South is known for its disgusting use of slave labor and would be the home in which this haunted piece sits. The house owned first by Mr. and Mrs. Clark Woodruff. These were racist plantation owners, and violent ones at that. It is said that the couple were very sadistic towards abuse of the slaves. A young woman by the name of Chloe was particularly abused when eavesdropping on a conversation Woodruff was having one night, resulting in him cutting both of her ears off. That's so unnecessary. Her mutilation was hidden, but Chloe planned her revenge quickly and decided to poison a cake which Mrs. Woodruff and her 2 children would be eating. She killed all 3 of them and was caught, tried, and hanged for her crime. It is Chloe's ghost in which experts say haunts the cursed mirror from the plantation. Ghostly women are seen in the mirror walking by, and smudged handprints are always seen, even with new trimmings and polished glass. The cursed mirror is believed to have Chloe's spirit trapped inside of it. By gazing into the mirror, evil things apparently would happen, resulting in health problems. Weird things happen around this mirror, and where it lays now, that's Ed and Lorraine's business. Ed and Lorraine are taking care of it, of course, thank God, and it sits in the couple's occult museum in Connecticut. Ungazable. Today, the Myrtles Plantation has been changed into a bed and breakfast, but still remains one of America's most haunted houses. What do you think? And coming in at number 1, Annabelle. Possibly the most infamous and dangerous possessed artifact found at the home of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Their occult museum is the home of the Annabelle doll. We know a little bit about this doll, of course, with all the films about her in the last couple years. Tons of people have flocked to the museum to take pics in front of her vase. She rests inside a glass case ominously marked "Warning. Positively do not touch." Warned. She was previously owned by a nursing student, Donna, in 1970. Gifted from her mother from a thrift store. After some creepy incidents involving the doll like levitating onto the table and moving around by itself, she took the doll to a medium who revealed it is possessed by the spirit of a little girl who died young. Ed and Lorraine were eventually called after the incidents would not stop, and they offered to take it to their home. However, this is the scary part on the drive home. Ed himself said that the doll was making the car do things out of his control. Stuffed in a bag, doused in holy water, he still felt the presence. The engine kept turning off, power steering would all of a sudden lock up. The hardest part was getting it into a safe locked case in their museum, where it's been ever since. Thank goodness. The doll holds evil power and demonic possession, Lorraine says, and she refuses to even make eye contact with it. Yeah, you know it's bad when they won't even look it in the eye, huh? The museum unfortunately has been shut down since 2019, but the cursed objects still seem to be staying put. Thank goodness.
Top 5 ancient artifacts that should not be touched by Carl McWatters. Thank you so much, Carl, for that this morning. Now, before we cut to Carl, I did tell you guys that we were talking about it's a Virginia gun, right? Now, there was a guy who told me it was his job to actually remove greasy fingerprints from the side of the barrel, right? And this got him thinking about how do we protect objects, and also how do we not touch these things with signs around them all the time, all over the museum. Visitors don't understand why this is such an important rule. Now, if you look at it, we understand the temptation to want to touch objects, especially if something is special or something has, a special meaning behind it. And when you touch something, it feels like an honor. We get that. Now, people basically are tactile. Now, touch is used to gather information. We know this, okay? Now, people want to know how something is made, or if it's a replica, or if it's actually a physical connection that creates an emotional bridge to the past. Now, additionally, there are some times where visitors touch things because they don't actually realize something is real, right? I, for one, love to see if something is real, and then once I see it, being a human being, being me, I just have to touch. I don't know why. It's actually a bad habit. Now, if you look at it, yes, we get these physical connections. Yes, people are also used to seeing cannons or furniture or historical sites that visitors forget that they are artifacts in their own right, and they are not props. So any of these reasons can lead to damaging from handling it, especially things that are old and heavy. Now, what actually happens is that when someone touches an object, the easiest damage to picture is the kind you hear in the news. Now, you get the $1 million vases shattering because they're toppled off their stands, or parts being snapped off a machine where someone tries to handle it or turn it in a certain way. You get that. Now, also these things do happen, but thankfully we are fairly uncommon. Now, most people understand that picking things up or exerting force on museum pieces is inappropriate, and however, it's even light touches can pull hairs out of taxidermy. Now, rip delicate fabrics. You can also rip things. You can scratch surfaces. Keep in mind that most of the objects you see on display have had a long life and loved life before they actually reach the museum. So they have a certain texture, a certain way that you should be able to handle things. You'll notice if you get photographs, they are so delicate that they have to handle it with certain chemicals, certain types of gloves, and certain types of tools. Now, coming up next, what we have for you, we've got a gentleman that just goes by the name of Nick. He's going to tell us his top 5 ancient artifacts that you should never touch.
Number 5 on this list is a cannon. Hong Kong is pretty much surrounded by water. Their entire culture is very connected to the water with fishing and boats. That's why finding things in the water isn't totally shocking. However, when that thing is a super heavy, super old cannon, then it's a tad bit more interesting. History Things says experts believe that this discovery might lead them to uncover more hidden treasures beneath the harbor city. Bill Jeffrey, the archaeologist working with Hong Kong's Underwater Heritage Group, comments that we see this as the tip of the iceberg. The Hong Kong SAR is 60% water, and yet nearly no archaeology has been done underwater here. The granite stock, which is known as the cross piece that can be found on most anchors, was around 6 feet long. This piece lay 10 feet below water and was situated near Hong Kong's High Island. After investigating this ancient maritime artifact, experts have discovered that this granite stock dates back between 960 to 1278 AD. This anchor fits the exact style and material that would have been used during China's Song Dynasty. I think what makes this so mysterious is that comment about how hardly any of the water has been explored for archaeology. Finding something like this underwater as they did can only mean one thing. Either somebody partied a little too hard 1,000 years ago and decided that taking a cannon out in the middle of the ocean and throwing it overboard was a good idea, or, and much more realistically, there are more archaeological finds to be had underwater. Who knows how many things they could discover just lying at the bottom of the ocean. Number 4 on this list is a tiny bird. Okay, so I'll be honest folks, this one isn't super mysterious, but it did come from China and it is wicked cool. The artifact is a very small bird sculpture, literally so tiny that you could probably fit 20 of them in one hand. It's made from blackened bone and doesn't really look like much. Just a very basic bird potentially sitting atop of a perch. So what makes this thing so special and why has it made our list? Well, this little bird is pretty freaking old. This tiny sculpture of a bird discovered at Lingjing, China is 13,500 years old. We're talking about something that is hundreds to thousands of generations older than we are right now. This Paleolithic bird, being the ripe young age of 13,500 years, is the oldest discovered 3D piece of art in all of East Asia. The way that it's made also indicates that there are a lot more of these little guys to be found. How smooth the sculpture is shows that this wouldn't have been a one-off from the artist and they knew what they were doing. I guarantee that whoever made this that many years ago couldn't even begin to comprehend that their tiny sculpture would make for a talking point on a YouTube video this many years later, and honestly, that's pretty cool. Number 3 on this list is bronze vessels. Indiana University says that these bronze vessels were found in tombs and were made for use in rites performed on ancestral altar or cast specifically for burial with the dead. Only Chinese kings and high-ranking nobility could afford such expensive and labor-intensive artifacts which required a knowledge of mining, smelting, metallurgy, and casting to execute. From Shang Dynasty records comprised of some 200,000 inscriptions on bone and turtle shells, we know that Chinese ancestors were procreated with elaborate rites, feasts, and sacrifices. If ancestors were displeased with the activities of their descendants or the rituals offered to them, they might fail to act on their progeny's behalf or even cause their descendants harm. This could come in the form of poor harvests, droughts, or famine. The Chinese believed in a complex world of spirits which comprised a multitude of nature deities, royal ancestors, and others who controlled important earthly phenomena such as weather, harvests, births, deaths, and military campaigns. So it's pretty clear that these bronze vessels played a role in the rituals the Chinese performed with their dead, but the passage also leads me to believe that they may have been involved in causing people to die in the first place. These are ritualistic artifacts, and considering the Chinese believed in a complex world of spirits, I don't think it's unrealistic to think that they may have used these in rituals to curse someone with a poor harvest or even death. To use these bronze vessels in appealing to a deity and have that deity help them with their current issue. Of course, I'm only speculating here, and the exact use of these things in rituals will probably remain a mystery. Number 2 on this list is the Sangsuidu masks. The Sangsuidu masks are some of the most recent and most mysterious discoveries that archaeologists have made in China in quite some time. Aaron Reich says, remains of a gold mask dating back 3,000 years were found in a huge treasure trove of artifacts discovered at an archaeological site in China's Sichuan province, which sheds more light on an ancient civilization that remains mysterious to historians. The mask consists of around 84% gold, measures 28 centimeters high and 23 centimeters wide, and weighs about 280 grams, according to the English Language Daily reported. But according to Lei Yu, head of the Sangsuidu site excavation team, the whole mask would weigh over half a kilogram. If a whole mask like this was found, it wouldn't just be the largest and heaviest gold object from that period found in China, but the heaviest gold object found from that time period anywhere. The mask remains one of over 500 artifacts found in the cache at the site. The Sichuan province is one of the most mysterious provinces in China. These masks are gorgeous too and look to be extremely valuable. No one currently knows what they were used for. Something this beautiful has to be connected to royalty or to some sort of ancient and important ritual. Potentially something that someone might wear when performing a ritual that would connect them to a god or some other deity. Very little is known about this dynasty and their practices, so sadly these masks and what they were used for will also remain a mystery. And finally, number 1 on this list is the Terracotta Army. The Terracotta Army has got to be the most famous Chinese artifacts to have ever been discovered. There's just simply nothing in the world that comes close to rivaling their uniqueness. Chinese workers digging a well in 1974 made a startling discovery: thousands of life-size terracotta figures of an army prepared for battle. Now called the Terracotta Army or Terracotta Warriors, the figures are located in 3 pits near the city of Xi'an in China's Shaanxi province. After the warriors were discovered, the site became a museum and a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987. The pits are situated less than 1 mile to the northeast of a pyramid-shaped mausoleum constructed for the first emperor of China, Xi Zhangquang. According to UNESCO World Heritage Center, archaeologists suspect that the unexcavated tomb could contain an entire replica of the city of Xi'an, which the warriors guard. The 3 pits contain an estimated 8,000 life-size terracotta figures, of which about 2,000 have been excavated. The figures were created to serve the emperor in the afterlife and include a mix of chariots, cavalry, armored soldiers, and archers. There are high-ranking officers, and one of the pits, number 3, actually, served as a command post for the army and contains an honor guard and ornate chariot for the force's chief commander. All three pits are active archaeological sites and visitors can see excavations taking place. Maybe the most mysterious thing about all of this is what is in the unexcavated tomb that they're guarding. Based on how the tomb is situated, it's currently impossible to go inside without destroying some of the history, and this is why it remains unsearched. But one has to imagine that whatever is inside of it could be extremely valuable. Whatever is in that unopened tomb warranted the building of over 8,000 statues to guard it. I don't know if I've ever done anything 8,000 times, let alone build extremely intricate statues.
Thanks so much for that, Nick. Just Nick. All right, he's done his top 5 ancient artifacts that you should never touch. And if you have a few artifacts that you'd like to share with us and interact with us in studio today, share with us the artifacts that you know about that you are not allowed to touch or go close to. And if you do, let us know, what did you learn about not touching artifacts? Well, from the show. But before we carry on with it, we'll come back, start up this commercial break.
The rich taste that says you've arrived. Uigakar. Living a life of illusion. Leaving your finances on the rocks. In this world of Bazotina Bantu, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are live with us on Attenville TV. Yeah. This is the Crack of Dawn Show with myself, Kimera, Heeralal, as your host. And if you want to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details at the bottom right of your screen. Or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat and join us. Now, today we're talking about, the top 5 ancient artifacts that you should never ever touch. A very, very good morning to Kim Padachi coming in this morning on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. All right, so... talking about artifacts this morning, all right? Now, do you actually know what an artifact is? Or if you had to find an artifact, what do you do when you do find one? Now, if you look at it, as you are hiking around the state or even hanging out at your own backyard or whatever the case may be, you may find artifacts. Artifacts come in a lot of different types of forms, all right? And so how do you know if you've really found an artifact? How do you know if you found one, you know? And what do you do once you've actually found one? Now, what is an artifact before we go forward? An artifact, although it seems simple, artifacts come in many shapes and sizes, right? And it may be things that you don't expect, okay? Especially in South Africa, or if you travel to Utah, if you travel to wherever, okay? So you tend to think of like prehistoric artifacts or projectile points, ancient pottery, you think of grinding stones and the like. Now, when we think of artifacts, but an artifact can actually point, well, let's just say, if you think about it, right? Artifacts can be almost anything, all right? Now, anything over 50 years old may be an artifact, okay? So, archaeologists use a 50-year rule, basically, when thinking about things that may be artifacts. Okay, we also consider that 50 years probably gives us enough historical perspectives to be able to consider the artifact as archaeology and as well as archaeological specimens. Now, although famously one archaeologist studied, we actually use contemporary garbage. Now, do you think what we're talking about today is utter garbage? Did you ever do research on artifacts? Do you collect things and keep them in a cabinet somewhere? Or if you've got something that means something to you that's special and you're over the age of 50, interact with us in studio today, as that what you have kept in your cabinet could be an artifact. Coming up next, we have a gentleman named Taylor Smith with the top 5 ancient artifacts. Take a look.
Number 5, the Knife Blade Man. Discovered in 2018 in northern Italy, a group of archaeologists were digging up a massive gravesite of the Lombardo, an ancient Germanic people. Found in a necropolis, which is a very fancy word for a large, elaborate tomb, and maybe one of the best words in the English language, the team found hundreds of skeletons that were at the site, including horses and greyhounds, and for the most part, they're not particularly notable. You've seen one old bag of bones, you've seen them all, except for one skeleton that in the place of a forearm was an impressive blade. Now this raises countless fascinating questions. Who was this guy? Was this the first Assassin's Creed protagonist? Some legendary madman of a warrior who lost an arm and thought, I don't know, put a blade on there, I can still fight? Well, the Lombardo people placed a great emphasis on war and combat in their culture, so it is possible. The researchers noted that there was a clear dated buckle around his arm, and pressure on the bones of his arm showed that it was an intentional prosthetic, right down to the wear and tear on his teeth, suggesting he tightened the straps for his hidden blade with his teeth. Most of the other skeletons found in the necropolis all had blades buried with them at their sides, perhaps ritually out of honor, but this unique specimen had it grafted onto his arm like he's history's first cyborg or Baraka from Mortal Kombat. To be able to not only survive an amputation, pre-antibiotics and modern medicine is already impressive. Number 4. The hanging coffins. We're going up to China for our next one, specifically Hubei, China. There's a cave there that the locals call the Cave of the Fairies, and you've probably already realized that there's going to be a dark secret involved with the Cave of Fairies. We never talk about anything nice here. It was said that the mythical creatures were supposed to live in the cave, but those who explored it inside found that there wasn't much of anything living at all, instead finding something deeply disturbing. Rows and rows of coffins, some hanging from ropes, some jammed, wedged between the rocks of the cave. The coffins themselves were massive, weighing around 200 pounds each, and some destroyed and ravaged. Dating the coffins puts them at around 1200 years old, and are thought to have been put up by the ancient Bo people, an extinct culture hailing from China, famous for this unique practice of hanging coffins from caves. It's thought that this served two purposes. 1, as a ritualistic offering meant to bless the dead, and 2, from a practical, pragmatic sense, it would prevent any would-be carrion eaters from picking through to get a meal. Fascinatingly, it can be seen that all of the coffins were carved from a single tree, one big log. One wonders if that was part of the ritual element of it. Now the coffins being smashed is interesting, because the discoverers of the coffins theorized that the damage was actually pretty recent, dating it to the 1960s. And their prevailing theory was that someone wandered into this cave in a place of desperation and smashed the coffins to garner some firewood in the hopes that they could survive the night and not pass among the hanging dead. Let's just hope they didn't release any ancient curses at the same time. Number 3. The Black Sarcophagus. Now you might have heard of this one before. If you were on Twitter much a couple years ago, maybe you remember vaguely hearing about sarcophagus juice. Maybe those words are ringing a strange bell. There was a pretty good petition going around to let people drink the sarcophagus juice. But let's back up a bit. What is sarcophagus juice and where did it come from and why do we want to drink it? Well, I've got the answers. Somewhat. I've got some answers. In 2018, a team of archaeologists digging in Alexandria, Egypt, discovered a massive granite black sarcophagus, which immediately set off everybody's warning signs that you should not touch that. People wondered what the 30-ton stone slab could be containing, with some even suggesting it could have been the mighty body of Alexander the Great. People warned the archaeologists that there, could be some ancient evil, like when King Tut's tomb was raided and a very strange curse befell the explorers and excavators. Well, what they found wasn't a hidden curse, but honestly something stranger. 3 skeletons inside the coffin with a skull shattered by an arrow and a whole lot of mysterious black goop, or sarcophagus juice. So again, looping right back around it. What is the sarcophagus juice and does it taste good? Well, scientists analyzed the sludge and discovered that it was made from a combination of animal fats, tree resin, beeswax, and crude oil. The sludge has been recovered out of multiple coffins and sarcophagi, so it's not exclusive to this dreaded one. But that doesn't explain why this nasty stuff is there. Well, there's some theories about this, no concrete answers, but I'll do my best. It's said that when someone died, they become a form of the god Osiris, who is associated with death and rebirth. Osiris was called the Black One, and is depicted with very dark black skin in the guise of a mummified body. As well, black is also a color associated with the deposits on the bank of the River Nile after a flood season. Fresh and fertile soil was seen as inherently regenerative. So it's theorized that with the linking concepts of Osiris and the regeneration of the soil, soaking and filling the coffins with this black sludge was a very confusing part of the mummification process. Number 2. Headless Vikings. In 2008, a group of archaeologists archaeologists were doing some fairly routine work in Dorset, a seaside town in England, in a rather dull job to improve local roads around the area. As could be expected, not too much of note was discovered, except for the mass grave of 54 headless Viking mercenaries. And not just were their skulls missing, but the rib cages, arms, and leg bones were all arranged neatly, surrounded by discarded teeth. No clothes or weaponry was discovered. So what happened? Because nothing my imagination is coming up with is conjuring anything good. Well, the bones revealed some fascinating finds, and I'll warn you now, by Odin's beard, they're all terrifying options. The teeth surrounding the grave were all filed down, but done neatly as if a craftsman had done it. Obviously, pre-Novocaine dental surgery wouldn't go down easy, so the process must have been excruciating, suggesting perhaps these men had it done to them out of some sort of punishment, or they did it to themselves to frighten their opponents and show them just how strong they were. Neither one of those options is particularly pleasant to consider. But now let's get spine chillin' with it. The archaeologists' prevailing theory about what happened to this big Nordic pile of bones is that looking at the wound patterns on the ribs and the torso bones were smart, surgical, precise blows, not matching with a rabid hack job you'd expect from a brawl. The archaeologists suggested that the Vikings weren't slain in battle, but rather offered up perhaps to some sort of strange, sadistic ritual, or perhaps a mass execution. It would explain why the men had no gear with them as well. The large number of bodies and intense cruelty of it suggests that there wasn't any trained executioners, leading to the prevailing theory that it's a dark, dark ritual. Number 1. Bog people. Name one good thing that's ever been found in a bog. Need some help? There's never been one. For peat farmers in northern Europe, it's a thankless life, working in wet, muddy bogs and occasionally finding leathery preserved bog mummies. Due to the low temperatures, lack of oxygen, and high acidity of bogs, bodies found there are preserved disturbingly well. Well, preserved is a bit of a misnomer. They're twisted and rived, but they're intact, sort of. It's hard to think of these as preserved well because they look like the scariest things you've ever seen, but the process is weirdly fascinating if you're interested in looking up something disgusting. This happens all over northwestern Europe, with no one specific case to point to. It happens all over Ireland, Germany, Great Britain, the Netherlands, and so on. The bodies range from anywhere as old as 8,000 years old, preserved, to the most recent appearing to have been from the early turn of our century. Now, no one really has any idea how many of these bog bodies could be out there, and no one really knows how the unfortunate bog victims ended up in their final muddy resting spot. Some of them could possibly have just been unlucky souls who found themselves lost and fell in. But another prevailing theory is that Roman Iron Age people in northern Europe sacrificed people to the bogs, which sounds too dark to be real, but apparently is. They would also offer people as sacrifice or as punishment for their perceived social imperfections, which, may I just say, I am very glad this practice isn't commonplace, because I would be cast into the bogs faster than you could say peat deposit.
Okay, watching that last one made me feel funny. Okay, thank you so much, Shayla Smith, for sharing your top 5 ancient artifacts that you should never touch. Yeah, could want to touch that. Okay. All right. So stay tuned as we're talking about our ancient artifacts, things that you shouldn't touch, why you should not touch them. Interact with us in studio today if you have found an artifact or if you have like this collector's item thing. Interact with us in studio today. There's a WhatsApp line right there. If you missed it, 074-660-5829. Don't forget, you can comment at the bottom column where it says live chat or use any contact details at the bottom right of the screen. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
Put a spell on you. Because you're mine. Oh, because you're mine. Because you're mine.
Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are live with us on Attenville TV. This is the Crack Up Dawn show with myself, Kimera, Heeralal, as your host, and by my side. When are you guys going to call in and say you want to join the show live, please? All right. Don't forget, Attenville TV are looking for TV presenters, and if you do feel in your heart you've got what it takes, don't forget we have professionals here behind this camera, and they are willing to train us and make us better presenters. And yeah, well, You don't get paid for this. Yeah, it's a non-profit company, but you get to build yourself a nice, beautiful profile and get better and bigger things out there later on in life. Well, interact with us in studio today if you'd like to, as we're talking about ancient artifacts with contact details at the bottom right of the screen, or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat right there. Yeah. All right. So, talking about ancient artifacts, right? We've discussed how you can actually tell when it's an artifact. I mean, it should be more or less older than 50 years old, and it can be in a physical form, or it can just be an artifact. Call it like that. Now, since archaeologists actually studied what we call material culture, the only real qualification to calling something an artifact is that it needs to occupy physical space. All right. Now, the toys from your childhood, grinding stones that are thousands and thousands of years old, even newspapers can all be counted and called artifacts. Now, however, as the digital age gets along in this truth, we may need to rethink this and expand our definition of the word artifact even further. Now that you have determined what you have found is actually an artifact while digging or keeping things at home, you can also check to see if it is part of a site. That's quite interesting. Now, if sometimes you find the lone artifact, but oftentimes it's part a larger archaeological site. You can, if you want to, you can try this. You can carefully look on the ground near the find to see if there are other artifacts. Now, if you find something in your yard or your backyard or your garden, or when you're camping, you have to look around to see, okay, you found this piece of stone or this piece of metal or this piece of chain. Go a little further. You might never know you find other artifacts around it. Now, archaeologists look at the whole site to understand the story of certain artifacts. This is how you find out if it's an artifact or not. Now, you can take pictures, you can write notes, okay? You can also, when you do these things, you're actually showing appreciation to what you've actually discovered. Now, before putting it back, of course, I hope you know you must put it back. Archaeologists always take pictures and notes of what they've found. Sometimes they can also ask their friends about it, research it more on their own, or just take the occasional trip down archaeological memory lane. And if you find an artifact and it isn't partially buried or fragile like baker tree, you basically shouldn't touch any bones. You'll notice something. If you find a chain or if you find a ring, we did a show about cursed diamonds. I don't know if you guys watched that one. If you didn't, take a look-see back at Atsonville TV's episodes about cursed diamonds. You'll notice that energies work in a certain way and play a very big role in things that are maybe cursed, or you feel something is bad luck, or you could actually have a chain that you wear on your neck or a bracelet on your hand which you feel is good luck. Yeah, that is one of my main reasons why I've learned not to just touch anything. I'm a very touchy person. I'm a very affectionate child. But then I've come to a point where I've learned and realized touching things can actually cause you very big trouble. Hugging another person, if their aura or if their positive or negative energy is stronger than yours, it may overpower what you're going through. Now, I'm a walking positive. I'm a walking, in our culture, we call it a walking Shakti, right? So when you walk around, you've got this positivity, and all of a sudden you're just feeling gloom and down. Think of the places you've been. Think of the things you've touched. Think of the people you've hugged. Think of the rooms and the auras that you've mixed yourself with, and those things are actually quite scary and quite powerful. And if you didn't know, the universe works with positive and negative energies. It works with energies, it works with forces, there are such things as curses, and there are such things as ghosts, such things as spirits. There's a lot of things that happen in the world that are unknown. That is why we also like doing the show on Atonville TV. We like to discover and share with the public and share with you guys what we actually do here. Now, I hope you guys did enjoy the show about artifacts today, as we're going through it, and I'd like to personally tell you, this is my serious face, by the way. Touching things can cause you a lot of trouble. That's the main lesson for today. Learn something. Touching something could curse you for life. It could stop you from your path, your journey called life. Be careful. Be very careful when just, fiddling. I know you want to be like me. You want to be a free spirit. You want to do what you want to do. But things can happen and things can go wrong. Be very careful when being in a museum, especially when things are cased up or caged up or locked up and they actually do put a barrier telling you do not touch. Please respect it. Do not touch it. It's for, your own safety. Well, as today's show was about ancient artifacts and things that you should never touch, I hope you guys enjoy that one. But don't forget, we're all about showcasing talent. Oh, yeah, okay. So if you feel you've got what it takes to perform or do anything, whether it's in your bedroom or your garden or on stage, please do capture yourself with the camera as we do showcase talent right here on Actonville TV. And we're all about showcasing talent about people who are unknown and who are upcoming artists as well. You don't only have to sing and dance and only be in the music part. You can do anything that's talent and capture it with your smartphone. Drop us a WhatsApp on 074-660-5829. Or you could just comment at the bottom of the screen. Even if you're not live, let us know that you would like to know the process as to getting your content live on Actonville TV. And whoever is here in studio will help you. Coming up next as we're showcasing talent. Now everybody's got to know Lionel Richie, right? It is a beautiful Monday morning and yesterday was Sunday and everybody knows that song Easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Alright, let's leave it to the professionals as I'm just a presenter. Today, Lionel Richie's song Easy, covered by Unique 7 from the Solomon Islands. Check them out.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah, bye. I know it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. It seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. You see a big stump and a barrel. Yeah. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Yeah. All right. None in the world would ever been put a chain on me. I've paid my dues to make it. Everybody wants me to be what they wanted me to be. Oh yeah, I'm not happy when I try to fake it. Oh yeah, that's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Yeah. All right. I wanna be high, so high. I wanna be free to know the things I do are right. I wanna be free. Chase me why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. That's why I'm easy. Yeah. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Oh, la di da 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 da. 'Cause I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. 'Cause I'm easy. Yeah. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Yeah.
What a throwback on this beautiful Monday morning. Everybody knows Lionel Richie is easy, but today it was covered by Unique 7 from the Solomon Islands. Guys, what a beautiful job. Yeah! What a delivery. Besides the vocalist, the band was amazing. The band was tight. I gotta love it. Yeah, you gotta love it. Easy. Ooh, don't do that. all right. Stay where you are. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
The ultimate accessory. The latest shiny thing. Mesmerized. Trying to keep up, but never getting ahead in an endless cycle of spending. In this world of constant upgrades, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you're all live with us on Attenville TV. This is the Crack of Dawn Show with myself, Kimera Heeralal, as your host. And if you want to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details that you'll find at the bottom right of your screen. Or you can contact us and just join this convo with the live chat column right at the bottom of your screen. You can see it right there. And today we spoke about ancient artifacts that you should never touch. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. If you are watching the show for the very first time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already. And don't forget, there is a show every single weekday which is at 7 p.m. called The Journey. Yeah. It's with me as well. Yeah. But this is a cultural show. It's a spiritual journey about exploring Hinduism as a whole. And if you want to interact with us now, I've already told you how to do so. Please join us every single weekday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on The Journey right here on Attenville TV. If you haven't subscribed already, or even if you did, right, at the top of our page on the YouTube channel, I want you to click on the little bell there and click on it and press all. So every time we go live, it'll Attenville TV will always alert you as to when we are live. Yeah, every single time. All right, now, guys, I'm going to apologize all over again. Last week we had a bit of a mess up with the breakage in our cable, and in South Africa. It wasn't only us. The entire country was suffering with bad networks, bad everything, whether it was your Wi-Fi, whether it was anything. Basically, everything with the internet was corrupted. So we had a bad week last week. We chose not to go live, so we didn't want to waste our shows, our efforts, our work. So we did not go live the entire week last week. We do apologize for that, but hey, it looks like we're back. It looks like the signal is holding steady. So I'm very, very happy for us. I'm very proud of us for that. Do stay tuned every single weekday. Please join me at 7 a.m. in the morning up until 8 a.m. That is the Crack of Dawn Show. And in the evenings, join me at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on The Journey Show. I will be here to just rock your world. Oh, yeah. All right, so for those of you who just joined us and you are new, this is going to be your new addiction, which is called Attenville TV. Don't forget, we are looking for sponsors and advertisements, and interact with us in studio today. If you have a small business and you have anything you want to share with us live in the air, WhatsApp us again, 074-660-5829. It's come to that time of the show where we have to love and leave you guys. I love you guys so much. Wherever you might be, please stay safe. I know it's festive season. Some of you are already on leave. So congratulations to you. Not everybody's on leave yet. I do believe schools are going to be closing. Oh, they closed? Oh, no. Exams are over, I know. So for those of you who are watching this show, this is a family show. You can interact with us. This show is for all ages, and this show is all about variety. If you are, if you are situated anywhere in the East Rand and you want to come down to Atomville TV studios and be a guest host on one of the shows, please do join us. Again, drop us a WhatsApp, 074-660-5829. Join us in studio. We welcome anybody from the public. Everybody, all is welcome, whether you black, white, colored, Indian, orange, purple, it does not matter. Everybody's welcome. Yeah. Well, from myself, Kimera Heeralal, have a blessed Monday. Mwah! Bye-bye for now.